beautiful friends, welcome back to Dainty Gift School of Decor and Decoupage. Welcome back to another episode of Craft With Me. And this episode of Craft With Me is going to be a very special one because I have a giveaway for you. Some of you may already know, some of you may not, but for me personally it's a big deal. We recently surpassed 25,000 subscribers on this channel, which to me is absolutely crazy. To me personally it's a massive amount of people, and I never expected that many people to actually care enough about what I do to just click that button to subscribe to my channel, so I'm absolutely over the moon. I am partnering with ARTEZA for this giveaway, so as you guys know, a few videos ago I did a video where I showed off some of their paints, and so this time they sent me a lovely set of wooden slices that come together with some paint brushes and also some outdoor acrylic paints. So this is what we're going to play around with today. And in the giveaway you have a chance to win this exact set of wooden slices plus paints plus brushes. So if you're interested in taking part, make sure that you stick around till the end of the video to hear all about how you can actually enter. So we're actually going to make some Christmas decorations with these wooden slices, and I have already opened them and I did play around with them to try and kind of experiment what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I wanted to actually show you guys in today's video. So I've already taken out quite a few of them, and I will talk you through and show you some of the other ones that I made and kind of just explain to you how I made them. And so in today's video we're going to create 2 wooden decorations using molds, using these wooden slices, and using acrylic paints. Of course there are many different ways of using these kind of wooden slices. Some of the most popular ones being, of course, painting pictures on these wooden slices. But as you guys know, unfortunately I'm not that gifted in the painting department. When they were giving out painting skills, I was clearly standing in the wrong queue, you know, for like Love for Cake or something like that. And as always, without me rambling on for too much longer, grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's get started. Alright you guys, so let's get started with our first slice. So the idea for the first slice is that I want to put a merry-go-round horse onto here, and I want to kind of lightly paint the and I want to paint the background so that it's like a lighter whitish color, but also has a little bit of a shadow underneath the horse. So I'm going to need a mold of the merry-go-round. So this is a redesign with Prima mold, and then I have some air drying clay. This is Cladium nylon reinforced modeling material. I typically use Das air drying clay, but I recently purchased this one and I've been kind of testing it out. Quick little side note, the problem with this one is that I find that I can't take it out of the mold until the clay is kind of semi-dry, to where it just kind of pops out of the mold. So it's not as good as Das in that sense, so I can't take it out of the mold while it's still pliable, but it is nylon reinforced, and I will show you the benefit of that kind of in a little bit. But regardless, any kind of air drying clay that you have is fine. And then I've picked out these 3 colors, so just a white, black and a brown. These are actually their outdoor acrylic colors, which means that they are self-sealing. So the bonus with these paints is that anything that you paint with these, you don't have to use varnish unless you want to. So once they are dry, they are completely waterproof. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to paint this thing white, but I'm not going to paint it all the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this white paint, and then I'm going to take a dry natural bristle brush. I'd take a smaller one, but all of my smaller ones are just a tiny little bit damp. So I pick up a little bit of paint like so, and then just smear off the excess, and then I just kind of brush it on like so onto my slice, and this way it creates a white background. It doesn't paint over the beautiful wood grain, and it doesn't create brush strokes. It's almost like a fog rather than an actual paint. And then I'll add a little bit of white on the outside as well. And then before we start making our shadow, we're going to make our horse. So I just take a little bit of clay, soften it up in my hands, and then stick it into the mold like this. So I filled in the shape, and now I'm going to use a palette knife to cut off the excess off of the top. And now once again I use my fingers to squeeze in the clay and to move it around to almost wipe away any of this kind of excess that might still be sitting on top here. Now that I've evened out the surface a little bit, I take this little roller and I go over the clay like so, and it helps squeeze in the clay into all of the little creases and crevices that I may have missed off. And it also helps really even out the surface so that this part is nice and straight when it actually comes out, which is going to be quite important when you glue it on to a flat surface like this. And once you've done this, all you need to do is leave it to dry and then take it out when it's ready. I came prepared today, so I made this little horse earlier and it dried overnight, so it's ready for me to glue it on. So now I can show you what nylon reinforced means. So as you can see, this mold is very fragile, and I get this every single time whenever I use any kind of clay in this mold. It always breaks on this part here. So this nylon reinforced clay, even though it's broken, there's like tiny little fibers inside here which keep the whole thing together. So even though it's broken, it's still kind of hanging on by the tiny little strands of nylon, which is kind of cool if you ask me. So that means that I can just apply a little bit of glue in the parts where it's split, and it's going to be absolutely fine. So now that we have our horse, or whatever shape you want to make, ready, we can create our shadow. And to create our shadow, what you're going to need is, so obviously you have your shape, and then you're going to take a pencil and very lightly trace around your shape. If we have a shadow kind of underneath and on this side, then the light source must be coming from here, so the light source would be hitting this pole as well, and so there's going to be a little shadow here. So now that I've traced around it, I'm going to gently move my mold to the side. Now that I've traced it, I'm going to take a little bit of black paint and brown paint, mix them together to create like a darker brown. And now I'm going to take a little flat brush. This one just has acrylic bristles, and I pick up a tiny bit of paint with my brush, and then I brush most of it off onto my plate, just like before, just like with dry brushing technique. And I'm gonna go over the lines that I made earlier with the pencil with this paint, and just kind of smudge it out like so. So this is where we are. As you can see, I've made the outline with our paints. So if I now place my horse back on into that spot, we get like a little shadow underneath it. Now we need to glue this down, and to glue this down I'm just going to use my usual trade grade PVA glue. I need to be very careful the last time that I'm picking this up now, because it's on the verge of like falling apart at this point. So I apply PVA glue all over the back of my horse, and now that the glue is on, I'm going to place it on, bring the slice a little bit closer, and I slide it into the position where I need it to be. So here's our horse, it's on the wooden slice, and now we're going to move on to the fun part where we get to actually paint it. I really don't know what colours to actually go for, because whenever I open a box like this and there's just such an amazing selection, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. All I want to do is use literally every single colour that there is, but as much as I like that, and it is great in some cases, some people pull it off, I don't typically pull it off. So as tempted as I am to literally make this horse super colourful, I think I'm gonna go for very neutral tones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to first add a little bit of white into this mix of brown that we have, and this is where the brushes are going to come in really handy. So when you're painting something so fine like this, you need tiny little brushes, So just pick a little brush up, and I'm gonna cover the whole thing in this mix of brown, white and black. Okay, I've applied one coat of paint, so now I just need to let it dry before we move on to the next step. So while I'm waiting for it to dry, we're going to move on to slice number 2. And for our slice number 2, I'm going to use this redesign with Prima mold, which is called Elysian Clockworks. And once again, I'm going to use this mold. I should have thought about this before I sat down to do this, because now that I have a horse in here, well, I'm going to try my best to get the bow out. So for this one, I'm just going to use my Das air drying clay as always, because these molds are easy to get out. Clay comes out of them really, really nicely, so I don't need to let them sit and dry or anything. So I'm going to make a clock, and once again, I use my little roller. You could just use a rolling pin if you don't have one of these little craft rollers. Those work just as well. And then I turn the mold over and carefully take everything out. So that's my clock ready, and this one is going to sit just here. And then I'm going to make this little bow out of the same mold that we used earlier. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be fine, I reckon. And then this little bow is going to sit above the clock, so that's the kind of design that I came up with for my mold. And once again, I use PVA glue as always. Just take a brush and I glue it on into place straight away. Again, if your clay doesn't want to come out of the mold straight away, you can just leave it to dry and then take it out, glue it on whenever you're ready. Now I place the bow over the top of the clock. I just need to make sure that the bow isn't obstructing the little hanging hole. So this is what our second design looks like. And once again, I came prepared, so this one is one that I made earlier. And now all we need to do is paint it. And so for this one, I'm actually going to opt for like a much more browner colour. So I add more brown into my grey. And again, I'm going to take a little brush, so I'm going to paint the clock in this brown colour. Right, so I've done the clock in brown, and now I'm going to take some red and do the bow in red. If you wanted to darken up your colour a little bit, you can always just mix in a little bit of this brown into it. Remember, just a little bit, not too much. So we've got a brown clock and a red bow. Now I've got to let this one dry, so we come back to the horse now once again. And now we're going to show off some of the details on our horse. And to do that, we're going to take some of this gold paint and a dry brush. Again, I pick up a little bit of paint, this gold paint, and using a natural bristle brush, I apply it over the horse, and just look at the amazing effect that you get straight away. It shows off all of these beautiful details on the horse, and because we're using a dry brushing technique, we're only getting this second colour kind of on the raised parts of the mold. So this is really where the magic happens, and it is really, really simple and easy to do. Everybody can do this. If I can do this, trust me, you can also do this. And just think about all of the amazing little Christmas presents that you can make like this. Such a simple technique. All you need is a little wood slice. And so now to echo the gold horse a little bit, I go over the edge of the wooden slice. Again, just with the same dry brush. And so like I said earlier, these paints are self-sealing, which is, for me personally, the biggest selling point because this really allows you to skip out the varnishing. And I'm going to go over the bark a little bit as well. And look at this gorgeous ornament that we just created. So all we need to do is to add a little string and a bow now. We'll do that once we're finished with this one. We're going to do the same kind of technique as we just did with gold, but instead we're going to use white. So I'm going to come back to this bigger brush that I have. Again, I wiped off most of the excess and I dry brush white over the clock, make it look all vintage and faded and also kind of snowed in. And then I also go over with white over the bow. Ah, that red wasn't completely dry. Never mind, I'll just get the hairdryer back out. Alright, that should hopefully do the trick. So on our first decoration, we went over with white first before we applied the molds. But in this case, I'm just going to, again, dry brush in every which direction. Because I want the back of the slice also to look a little bit whiter, look a bit more snowed in. But in this case we are going for more of a rustic feel or like country vibe, so it doesn't matter if you get a little bit more paint here and there. If anything, it just kind of adds a little bit more character. And then I'm gonna also apply some white paint over here on the back. I'm going quite generously actually. And so now I want to add a little bit of snow. But instead of making it just simply white snow, I want to add a little bit of sparkle into it. So I'm going to add a little bit of this silver paint into it as well. And so I've got silver and white here. So now I'm going to just use a brush to pick up a little bit of water from my jar with brushes. And I squeeze it out into the paint, and then I just mix the water into the paint. And now once again I'm going to use a natural bristle brush and I dip it into my paint, and I'm going to use another barbecue stick to make some paint splatters. I'm going to stand up for this. And so this way we don't just get the brush strokes with white, we also get like little splatters that make it look like it's actual snow. So here we are, another little slice ready. So I'm going to leave this to dry for a minute and clean up my desk and stuff, and then we'll finish this off. Okay, here we are, our two lovely decorations. So let's get them finished off. So for the gold one, obviously I want to go for a gold ribbon, make it a little bit more fancy, since this whole thing is looking a little bit more on a fancy side. Let's push this through, and then I loop it around like this, and then I tie it up here. And I think you could probably also benefit from a little bow, and I'll just use super glue to glue this bow onto here. Right, so we set this to the side, and then for this one I literally just want to do a jute hanger on this one because it's looking very rustic in itself. Obviously I have this roll of jute string that I'm using for mine, but you also get a nice bit of jute string in the packet with all of these. And again I just tie this around. Since our slice is like looking very white, I'm just going to take a little bit of this white paint that I have left over, and I'll brush it over my jute string. Give this a little bit of a snowed in look as well. So here we are, guys. These are the lovely little Christmas decorations that we created today using ARTEZA wood slices and acrylic paints. Here's a little close-up look at the horse one, and then our lovely rustic clock as well. And before we move on to the information about the giveaway, I also wanted to show you some of the slices that I created earlier. So here's a slice that I made using different colored paints plus a silicone stamp. Here's one that I made using, again, paints. I did like an ombre blend in the background there, and I used a stencil to put Merry Christmas onto it. Here's another variation of the stamp one, so it's just a white background with a black clock stamp instead and some colourful dots. And so this one is the decoupage one, so I decoupaged some Christmassy rice paper onto it. So as you can see, the possibilities are really limitless with these little wooden slices and like what you can actually create with them, going from a really simple design, you know, just put some paint on it and do a stencil, to applying a mold and making it very like elegant and sophisticated looking, to rustic and shabby chic looking, to a little bit more galaxy space inspired. Now let's talk about the giveaway. So as I already said, we recently hit 25,000 subscribers on this channel, which is just amazing. And ARTEZA were really kind and offered to do this giveaway and offer this amazing bundle as a prize to one of you guys to help celebrate the 25k on this channel, which of course, how can I pass on an amazing opportunity to give back to one of you guys. As much as I would like to give back to everybody, whenever I get a chance, I try and do that. So for your chance to get this lovely bundle, all you need to do, and I will write all of the details in the description as well, in case if you forget or want to check back, all you need to do is you need to be subscribed to my channel and ARTEZA's YouTube channel. You need to like and comment on this video, and you need to like and comment ARTEZA's video, which is going to be linked in the description. So I'm going to link ARTEZA's YouTube channel in the description below, as well as the video, which you need to check out and leave a like and a comment on their video. What I personally want to know in my comments is, if you did win this bundle, how would you decorate your wooden slices? Would you make them all different? Would you make them all in one style? Would you personalize them for your friends and family? Would you decoupage them? Would you stamp them, stencil them, mold them? Let me know how you would use these wooden slices. I'm going to pick the winner of this giveaway on the 19th of October, so Monday the 19th of October. I'm going to announce the winner here on my YouTube channel and on my social media. So if you do enter the giveaway, make sure that you have clicked the notifications for my channel so that you get notified whenever I upload the community post. And you know, if you are on Facebook or Instagram, you can follow me on there to make sure that you don't miss when the winner gets picked. One last thing that I wanted to say is that, of course, I gave you a little sneak peek of these slices that I made earlier. So if any of you are interested or would like me to make like a little tutorial on one of these, then do let me know. I'd be more than happy to kind of try and recreate what I made here and show you guys how to do that. Links for everything mentioned in this video, including the ARTEZA slices and paints, are going to be in the description below, in case if you wanted to check them out. All of my social media is going to be down in the description below as well. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Facebook and stuff to stay up to date with everything. And above all else, I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Sending lots of love from my house to yours, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!